How much will you let the fear take the wheel and steer? How much will you let the fear take the wheel and steer? How much will you let the fear control you? How much will you let the fear control you? You should be the one behind the wheel. It is time to break that cycle of allowing the fear to be the one in control of your reality, your destiny. Having that fear is what holds you back from reaching your highest potential. Fear is the devil. And I like to say God is trusting. God is trusting. Not letting fear and shame, your shame and fear are lower vibrations, and unconditional love is a higher vibration. You're raising your vibration, and it feels like a whole collective of people have successfully shifted their energies into a higher frequency, a higher dimension, which a higher frequency, it would be a higher dimension. You've never truly got the chance to feel the world around you, to really let it in. No one else can do that for you. Only you can be the one to do that for yourself. Only you can let that in. It all starts with you. We've shifted into this new energy, but what shifts is you internally, and then the external follows. Your internal reality reflects your external reality. And now that you're aware of this pattern of fear taking the wheel, when you know, when you want and know you need to do something, not letting that fear stop you. Like, yeah, it might be there, but do it scared. I recently saw this video of this guy who did like 200 days of rejection therapy, and the first one, he goes and asks a barista if they could use their employee discount for him. They said no, but he kept going, and he was nervous. Like, he videoed himself before he went in. He was nervous to go in, and he got rejected, but he kept going. And then on his 200th day, he goes into some billboard place, and asks for a free billboard, and they gave it to him. 444 on the timer. They gave it to him. But he did it even though he was scared. And yeah, you're gonna be rejected sometimes. Things won't always work out exactly how you expect it to, but keep going because you can never miss what's truly for you. You have brought yourself back to life. You have brought yourself back to life. You've got this drive, this nothing will stop me. It's so, like, resilient, but soft at the same time. You have one hell of a fire within your soul. It's like right now, the energy, it feels we are at a turning point. And this feeling, it feels a lot stronger than what I've felt in the past. It's like it's here. We're 2 steps in. And the message today is to recognize when fear might be getting in your way. You're breaking free from self-limitation. You are the only one holding you back. Nobody else is. I am going to read a poem that I wrote today. I didn't know how much I had to lose before I learned how to feel alive. I swallowed my screams to keep the peace. Mistook survival for a life. I made myself a quiet place so no one could hear me break. I carried the weight of unspoken needs until my hands began to shake. I buried the parts of me that burned just to keep the dark at bay. But fire doesn't die. It waits in ash, patient for its return. I begged the night to let me rest, but grief doesn't sleep. It waits. I thought collapse would be the end, that I would have nothing left to give. But in the ash, a pulse remained, the brutal will to live. I rose with embers still on my skin, not healed, but finally whole. I learned the fire I feared the most was the voice inside my bones. I didn't rise to prove my worth or beg the dark to see. I rose because I chose myself, and that is the key. I finally crossed the finish line, and all I had to do was believe, to remember how it feels to truly be free. You've brought yourself back to life, like the phoenix. You've been reborn. And this, it's so powerful. I swallowed my screams to keep the peace, mistook survival for a life. You didn't feel like you could speak up for yourself just so that you didn't so that you could keep the peace. And you were in this survival energy. You mistook that for living a life. I made myself a quiet place so no one could hear me break. Yeah. I carried the weight of unspoken needs until my hands began to shake. That one right there, I carried the weight of unspoken needs until my hands began to shake. Speak up for your needs. Express what it is that you need. Otherwise, how are you going to get it? I buried the parts of me that burned just to keep the dark at bay. But fire doesn't die, it waits in ash, patient for its return. I begged the night to let me rest, but grief doesn't sleep, it waits. You didn't know how to process what happened. And so it's coming up now that you're ready to feel these more deep emotions, and especially the energy of the collective right now. Like, these things are coming up to clear our subconscious, and to clear our energy, to remove blocks are being removed. The blocks are being removed. Lord Ganesh, the remover of obstacles, he's coming through. Obstacles that are in your path that have been in your path are currently being removed. So you're becoming more self-aware. And this fear one coming through today, ask yourself, how many times have you let fear take the wheel? That is holding you back. Grief doesn't sleep, it waits. So yeah, these things are coming up. I thought collapse would be the end, that I would have nothing left to give. But in the ash, a pulse remained, the brutal will to live. I rose with embers still on my skin, not healed, but finally whole. You're not fully healed. What does that even mean? But you finally feel whole within yourself. I learned the fire I feared the most was the voice inside my bones. I didn't rise to prove my worth or beg the dark to see. I rose because I chose myself. And that was the key. I finally crossed the finish line, and all I had to do was believe. To remember how it feels to truly be free. Choosing yourself, that really is the key. That what you believe is what you see. Okay. pull some cards. But that's the message that came through today. I know my last message was of me in the car, on the road. You can only see what's ahead of you, so you're being present, focusing on putting one foot in front of the other. But today, a few days later, the message was still the image I was getting was still of me in this car, and noticing that sometimes recognizing how many times I've let fear taken the wheel. And it makes me feel like shit. Why am I doing that? Because we're gonna die anyways. Like, yes, have morals and be a good person, but don't let these fears and insecurities and things like hold you back. Like, do it anyway. Do it anyway. The Hierophant. The Hierophant, he is a spiritual teacher, a guide. This also talks about institution, schools, learning, higher lessons. Okay, we'll go. What about the Hierophant with this? Tell me more. The Five of Swords. Yep. So, card just literally came up and fell on the ground. The Page of Swords. It slipped off the top of the deck. Okay. So, yeah, you're recognizing when you let fear override you. And then we have the Page of Swords, so it's like you're still learning this. This lesson is still going on. So pay attention when because this is a big one that has affected your life, how you feel, what you do, what you say. The Two of Cups. So, also in one-on-one relationships, how fear holds you back from feeling like you can be your true authentic self around someone else, around anyone. Let's pull one of these cards and an oracle. Totality. Coming back to this wholeness, success again. Coming back to you've successfully crossed the finish line. You made it. Into this you've successfully integrated like coming home to yourself. Like, yes, nobody's perfect, and again, like, you're not gonna be fully healed ever. There's always something, but you recognize that the wheel is always turning, and you recognize that, and you're just like, you've come back to this wholeness of like just trusting and being in this surrender. You've mastered surrender and detachment, and but also you don't ignore things. You're very self-aware. You've got a very strong and precise discernment. And you've been guided throughout this whole journey. And you've listened. You pick up on the guidance. Okay. Let's pull one of my Soulful Woman Oracle cards. Inner Wellspring. I have an inner wellspring of love that luxuriously overflows with abundance. You've really come to this turning point in your life. You've come home to yourself, and now you're at a really like strong turning point in your life, because you've changed inside. And one of my favorite quotes is, when things change inside of you, when things change inside you, things change around you. So because you're in this beautiful higher vibrational energy, you already feel successful because you've pulled yourself out of, I don't even know what to call it, some heavy energies. Your perspective, you've seen it at a whole new perspective, and maybe even you see it at multiple different angles, and you have this higher view. Uniquely myself. Yes. I trust that who I am is perfect for my unique journey and soul path. Inner wellspring and uniquely myself. You've done so much inner work to get here. To this acceptance. Be proud of yourself. This is something to celebrate. But know that more, because you are in this energy, it's the energy of abundance. You are abundant. And because you're in this energy, more will come to you. That is the message. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.